forgot my gavel. I want to call to order the Amberley Village Council meeting of May 8th. To order, please call the roll.
Richard Bardock. Here. Ben Hunt.
Here.
Tom Mutin.
Here.
Keely Paul.
Here.
Bob Rosen.
Here.
Jay Schatz.
Here.
Dara Wood.
Here.
Scott Larmer.
Here.
Andrew Kakey.
Here. And if everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda this evening is our minutes from our last meeting. Those were circulated in advance. Are there any comments with respect to those minutes? Seeing none, we can consider the minutes approved. And now we'll move on to the finance report for March.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of March, the Finance Committee has reviewed the finances, and we also included in your packet is the UAN report. Just a summary of the general fund for the month of March. $870,000 is what we've taken in so far this year. That's about a 23% has been collected. $200,000 of that was during the month of March. Our estimate for the year is $3.7 million, so we're about 23% on our way. The village did receive property tax of the amount of $118,000 in the month of March. This is for the first half settlement for property tax. We also took in money under the local government fund, which we do every month, and that estimate is for the year is $83,000. So we took in $5,800 this past month. On the general fund for the month of March, we've taken in $389,000 for the month of March. A year-to-date amount that we have taken in is $1.7 million. So we're sitting at about 28% collection level for overall revenue for the general fund. And on the expense side, the expenses for the month of March were a little over $640,000. Year-to-date, we've spent $1.8 million from the general fund. So we've spent about 26% of our 2023 budget. And that leaves us with a $5.2 million unencumbered general fund balance. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the manager? If not, we'll move on to, we have one citizen to speak before council, and former councilman Ray Warren is, and if you could, as you know, just state your name and your address and
serial number, right? My name is Ray Warren. I live at 6715 West Farm Acres Drive. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. May is Jewish American Heritage Month. It's a great opportunity to celebrate the important contributions Jewish Americans have made to America since the first group of Jews arrived in New Amsterdam in 1654. The United States has many heritage months that celebrate the various communities that form the mosaic of our country, including Black History Month, Women's History Month, Hispanic History Month, and more. By celebrating heritage months, we learn about one another. We honor the richness of our diverse nation, and we strengthen the fabric of American society. Jewish American Heritage Month originated in 1980 when Congress passed a resolution which authorized and requested the President to issue a proclamation designating the week of April 21st, 1980 as Jewish Heritage Week. Following resolutions that passed unanimously in the U.S. House of Representatives in December 2005 and the U.S. Senate in February 2006, President George W. Bush proclaimed May as Jewish Heritage Month on April 20th, 2006. This month that would recognize the rich history of Jews in America and the more than 350-year history of Jewish contributions to American society. Over the past 369 years, Jewish Americans have given to their communities and this nation as loyal and patriotic citizens, always grateful for the safe harbor that America provided for them, including my parents who survived Nazi atrocities. Jewish Americans have served in government and in the military, have won Nobel Prizes, headed universities and corporations, advanced medicine, created and performed in enduring works of performing and visual arts, written great American novels, and become emblems of justice as members of the Supreme Court, and so much more. Perhaps most importantly, American Jews have always pushed America to live up to its promise as a nation that upholds freedom and justice for all. I had the privilege of being elected to serve on this council for 10 years, and I recognize and thank council, the village manager and the staff, the police and maintenance departments, for making the Jewish community feel welcome. Importantly, in this time of rising anti-Semitism in our country, the police have made us feel safe and secure. This month, we hope this council and the village will join me in celebrating the many contributions of Jewish Americans in the last 369 years, and that you'll learn more about the history, culture, accomplishments, and diversity of the American Jewish community. So I'm going to put some trivia out to you. Today, there are between 9 and 11 million Jews living in America, or about 2 to 3% of the American population. America's first Jewish community came from Brazil to the shores of New Amsterdam, now New York, after fleeing the Portuguese Inquisition in Brazil in 1654. Out of the 18 people who have won collectively Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Awards, 7, or over 1/3, are Jewish Americans. These include Richard Rodgers, Marvin Hamlish, Jonathan Tunick, Mel Brooks, Mike Nichols, Scott Rudin, and Alan Menken. Hammerin Hank Greenberg of the Detroit Tigers was the first Jewish American baseball player to win the first Most Valuable Player award. The Touro Synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island is the oldest continuously used synagogue building in America, built in 1763, whose congregation was founded in 1658. Judith Resnick was the first Jewish American in space. She died in 1986 when the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up shortly after liftoff. On the local scene, we recently celebrated the 200th anniversary of the Cincinnati Jewish community. Thanks so much for your attention.
Thank you, Ray. And if you don't mind, if you would get Tammy a copy of that, I think from the standpoint of trivia, I thought you were going to ask us questions or something. Okay, we'll now move on to committee reports. First committee is the Police and Fire Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reporting from about the Police Fire Committee, which we last met on April 26th. During that meeting, we discussed the success of the Beacon Orthopedic Pilot Program that the Village Council approved originally last year. That program, just as a refresher for everyone, allowed the police force to be able to move a lot of the training and physical therapy piece to Beacon Orthopedic, as opposed to having an in-house training system. We also discussed the possible purchase of flock cameras for the village. There will be more information about that, I'm sure, in coming meetings. Tonight, we have one action before council tonight to honor and thank Amberley Village Police Department for the role that they play to serve and protect our community. So I would like to move that council approve Resolution 2023-9, proclaiming May 15th through May 21st as National Police Week and May 15th as the Peace Officers Memorial Day.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-9, proclaiming May 15 to 21 as National Police Week and May 15, 2023 as Peace Officers Memorial Day. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-9. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
All right.
And just to note that for Hamilton County, the celebration will be on Fountain Square on the 19th of May, Friday the 19th of May, and then there's a parade after Fountain Square up to close to District 1, which is also where the police memorial is.
All right, and that concludes my report.
Okay, we'll move on to the Public Buildings and Parks Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start with a brief summary of our meeting from last week, May 1st. And I first want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, and village staff for all that you do for us. Together, you guys have managed to secure some grants that I'm going to talk about in a minute. I just wanted to make sure that you get the credit for all you do for us. Thank you so much. Two of the four courts in the tennis courts in the municipal park are pickleball striped. We are going to have the other two courts striped, and a grant is going to pay for that. Also, in previous meetings, I have talked about a project to put a prairie on Amberley Green on what used to be the third fairway, a little bit more than 6 acres, and it's a project with Cincinnati Nature Center. I could actually talk with much enthusiasm about this for a long time, but I've already done that in previous meetings. So instead, it's around a $13,000 project, which again is being covered by a grant from the Hamilton County Public Health Department, which is not a We Thrive grant, even though they are part of that community. And again, thank you. So that is something that's going to go in the fall. And then just to give you a little bit of information, the courts in the municipal park were last resurfaced in 2018. At this point, they need to be totally dug up, and they can't tap it anymore. They have to go down to the base. And that project was $60,000 in 2018, and this is a big item and would need to be budgeted for another year. So if we want to do a total resurfacing of those courts, it's something that would have to be in the 2024 or beyond budget. Again, the price I gave you was from 2018. Moving on to the ball fields in the municipal park. The last time the fencing was done on the upper field, known as the Greff Field, was 1994. And due to safety issues as well as just needing to update the fence, we are going to replace the baseline fences as well as the backstop. And that project's $7,410, which again is being partially covered by a grant. And this will actually increase the height of the first baseline, which is adjacent, the parking is right on the other side of the fence. It's going to increase it from 5 feet to 10 feet. And then on the third to home baseline, it's going to replace 5 feet with 6 feet. Because we do have problems with balls hopping over the fence. So that's what happened at the last meeting. And now I'm going to talk about Amberley Green leash regulations. So I want to start to say that the leash regulations were put in 2 summers ago, correct?
Sounds about right.
And we did a 1-year review in the fall, which was a highly attended meeting. We had all of council as well as 6 residents that came to speak. There was not a clear consensus across our group. However, what did come across as the only common request was that we extend the evening hours. They are currently 1 hour before dusk. Dogs can be off leash. The only common request was that they move from 1 hour to 2. So it'd be 2 hours before dusk to dusk for dogs to be off the leash. So today, not yet, I'm going to make a motion that we do that. So going just back in time to give you a little bit of history, this is ordinance 2021-8, which states that the village manager has discretion to adjust the times. So that's referring to it. Oh, and also dogs can be off leash from dawn to 9 a.m. and then 1 hour to dusk. We're not changing the morning, we're only changing the evening. Or we're going to ask to change the evening. And then, so that's sort of the background on it. So I would like to make a motion that we extend, that we
recommend the village manager extend the evening hours from 1 hour before dusk to 2 hours before dusk.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we recommend to the village manager to extend the off-leash hours in the evening from 1 hour before dusk to 2 hours prior to dusk. Are there any questions or comments? You can go first.
Thank you. I'm just curious from the manager, I know we don't have anybody signed up to speak surprisingly. Have you gotten feedback since this has become public?
The only feedback we included in your packet was emails from 2 individuals that just weighed in on the issue, and I'll reference those. It's on page 48 of your packet, but one resident on Dot Drive indicated that she wanted to go on record saying she fully supported the extended dog leash hours. And then a second resident from Esther Drive indicated that proposing extend hour off leash is a good idea, and then referenced that waste continues to be a problem at the property. Those are the two comments that we received. And outside of that, no one signed up. We did promote that if residents wanted to sign up and speak at the council meeting, to contact us, and we did not have any residents that signed up for that.
Okay, thank you.
Keely, can you share a little of the feedback that we got from police department on how they felt it was going and everything?
So the police has seen a drop in complaints and issues, and at the time of the meeting, they had had no reported issues for the past 3 months. Over the course of the past year, they have issued a few warnings, and one person has been banned. But before the leash law regulations, they also had a person banned, a different person. So 2 unique individuals. One was banned pre the rules, one has banned since the rules. But ultimately, like I said, they're seeing a dramatic drop in issues.
Other comment?
I think it's safe to say I'm probably the most prolific user of the dog facility, short of Jay's there. I see Jay on occasion. Other than that, we have a little different schedule, but I think this is reasonable given the pattern. In the wintertime, it gets dark at sometimes 4:30 in the afternoon, approaching 5, and I think it's unreasonable for people to go at 4 in the afternoon, as well as in summertime, it doesn't get dark till 9:30, almost 9:45 in August. I think it's unreasonable for people to have to wait till 8:30, 8:45 to go out and walk their dogs. So I think this is a rational solution to that issue. And I think that was the original intent way back 3 years ago when this discussion started. That seemed to be the path this was taking until at the last minute it got switched for reasons I don't know. So as to the waste issue, I think that solution could be solved if we put Kroger bags up there. It'd be a lot cheaper. The problem with the bags we have, they're not big and you can't tie them. So they're not good. I can just tell you from personal experience, if you have a larger dog, they're not good and they don't tie. So if we could just get a Kroger, they have a bin there, I'm sure they'd be happy to give them to you. We put Kroger bags up there in that little holder, I think we'd have a little more success. I think that's a cheaper solution to that issue as well. So I wholly support it. I think it's a good conclusion. We can review it again come November 30th, 2022. I think that'll be the second year annual date. So I think we should try it at least till November and see how it works.
One concern that I had was, at that meeting, there were quite a few people that were all very much for extending. And it wasn't known that that was going to come up because it was just a review. So one of my hesitations initially was, do the people that said it was working, that might have been anti having dogs off leash, did they really have the opportunity? But clearly people have not necessarily shown up here this evening to speak about it, and they've had the opportunity. So I'm definitely more comfortable with it. And it is only 1 hour that they're asking to increase, so.
And I think it's something that might require some of us to volunteer, but I think it's worth, I support the change. I mean, I remember the chief saying, everything is good. You kind of wished we just kept things, the way they are, as I understood it, they're going well. But I think it might be valuable to do an informational weekend where we set up a table, Saturday and Sunday, and just a reminder to people what our rules are. They're obviously well posted. I think the sign is wonderful, it's well written, but Rich and I both see instances of people who just clearly violate the rules. And I think some sort of informational, table out there, some weekend step by us or other volunteers would help. But I support the change.
Thank you.
So I will express a slightly different view. I think this has been extremely successful. We went from a place where we had major issues and now we have virtually no issues. So I think it's been great. And I do reflect back on when this was all being considered. And at first, we were talking about just the morning hours, and then at the last minute, we added in the evening hours, or evening hour. I do think, especially as we look in the summer hours, to think that for people that we're going to give 2 hours in the morning for off-leash and 2 hours in the evening, which in the summer is the period where it's most walkable. I mean, there's many people, you don't like walking at 4 in the afternoon. I do share Rich's view in the winter, thinking you're going to go up there at 4:30 is a good point. So my personal opinion is maybe, and I know we didn't want this complication when we introduced the measure, but maybe, to something different in the winter. But I just feel that this was a tough thing to get this all done, and to have it had been very successful. I just feel it's a little quick to make a change. I walk my dog, as I said many times, at French Park. I do not walk up at Amberley Green, but I do walk on my own up at Amberley Green quite often. And, the good news is I think the park is, or I shouldn't say the park, the green is being used more often by people. There have been days when I went up there, especially on a Sunday or something, where you have 30, 40 cars in the parking lot in the afternoon. I think it's great that it's being used that much. And, in the afternoon, you have some people walking their dog off leash, but they do respect others from what I've seen. And if they see somebody get the dog over, you have many others walking their dog on leash. There's many people that want to walk their dog on leash. And then you have many people, either runners or walkers, up there walking. And I think the increased use of it is a very positive thing. And I just feel like it's a little bit soon to make a change that could potentially reverse that and create issues in the future. So I am not in favor.
I want to make people aware that at this point, we're almost at 2 years.
I understand.
Okay.
But, realistically, we've only been through one summer.
Okay. Good point.
And it is the summer that's used the most. So. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we recommend to the village manager that we increase the off-leash hours for dogs at Amberley Green to 2 hours prior to dusk rather than 1 hour prior to dusk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Being noted that the resolution passes 6-1. Sure.
That's all I have. Back to you. Thank you.
Okay. We'll now move on to the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewers Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Streets Committee has two resolutions to present to council today. The first resolution is Resolution 2023-10, which we will proclaim the week of May 21st to May 27th of 2023 as National Public Works Week. Passing this resolution will allow us to recognize the fine work our Public Works Department does, not only in keeping the streets clean in the winter, but picking up trash along the rights-of-way, cleaning out storm sewers to keep them flowing, picking up leaves in the fall. I can go on and on and on. I would also like to note that our workers are on call 24 hours a day, and in case there's any emergencies, in case storms come through in the middle of the night, they're often called out to help. So I think this is a worthwhile way to recognize the work of the Public Works Department. So I move that we approve Resolution 2023-10.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-10, proclaiming May 21 to 27 as National Public Works Week. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-10. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be noted that the resolution passes unanimously.
The second resolution before council this meeting is Resolution 2023-11, which will authorize the village manager to purchase fuel through the Hamilton County Purchasing Department bidding process. We cooperate, I'm trying to think of the right word, with Hamilton County in buying our fuel. By doing this, it allows us to take advantage of their bulk purchases, and the result is that we get a much better deal on our fuel purchases by going through the county. The past 2 years, it's been Likens Oil, and I believe they are also the ones that won the bid that has already been issued. And I think in our report, the fuel bids came in on March 31st. We use various types of fuel, and the way the contract is, it's a 2-year contract, so the price is locked in for 2 years. And the way it's priced is that is a certain amount of cents over whatever the spot price is of oil. So if the price goes down, then we're not locked in. We're going to be able to have the advantage of that. And if the price goes up, we're locked into a certain spread above that price. So I would like to move then that the council adopt Resolution 2023-11, which will allow the city manager to execute a contract so that we can purchase fuel for the next 2 years.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-11, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of fuel. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-11. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be noted that the resolution passes unanimously.
I have just one other item. Our committee had a long conversation about, I think it's an annual conversation about how much salt the village should purchase for the next year. We had the Public Works Department, we had the manager, and we had the mayor. So we had 3 different views of how much salt we should purchase. And in the end, I think the manager won, if I'm not correct. So while we have a full bin of salt at the moment, we are contracting to purchase 400 additional tons of salt for the coming winter season. And hopefully we will not have to use that. Or if we get into a situation where there's a lot of snow this winter, maybe some other villages will run out of salt and we'll be able to sell them our salt at a profit. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to mention 3 items from the manager's report. I think all of us have been affected by the detour that is actually in Blue Ash on Hunt Road because it has impacted Ridge Road traffic and it certainly has impacted Ronald Reagan. So you probably noticed some of the backup on Ronald Reagan. We have been staying in touch on this project. Blue Ash has indicated to us that that project is expected to be finished before the deadline that they established, which was May 26th. So we still have a couple more weeks of this detour that will impact and cause some traffic backups both on Ridge as well as on Ronald Reagan. But just urge caution as you're using both of those areas. The second item I wanted to mention was the Farm Crest Street reconstruction project. That project is well underway. The reconstruction piece of it is currently ongoing, where pavement is actually being removed from the front of residents' homes, and that's going to take another couple of weeks for that to wrap up, and then the contractor will begin pouring curb and establishing what the street is going to look like into the future. But we're probably a couple of months away before things are going to get better on Farm Crest. And the last item I wanted to mention is that with the Compensation and Benefits Committee, each year I typically update them in regards to the succession plan that has been working on for the last three to 4 years. And one of those anticipated transitions will occur at the end of this month with the retirement of Tony Chesney. So Tony Chesney is our maintenance supervisor. He's been worked for the village for over 34 years, and he is retiring at the end of May. So all of the work that happened in the succession planning is falling into place because his successor was named last week. Ryan Monahan, who is our foreman in the maintenance department, has been promoted to the maintenance supervisor position. Ryan himself was here in February where you congratulated him on 25 years of service. So Ryan has a very good grasp of what the maintenance department is all about, and we're looking forward to his service that will start on June the 1st. So just wanted to update council in regards to the personnel changes that are occurring in the maintenance department. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Any questions for the manager?
Is there someone who's going to take Ryan's place as supervisor, or has that been determined yet?
That has not been determined yet, but I've given invitations out to the maintenance department for them to indicate to me who they're interested, if anybody's interested in pursuing the foreman position. So that process is underway, and they have until Wednesday of this week to indicate their interest.
Kudos on the north site signage, and I see we've added the sites available. Has there been interest?
Well, I get interest every once in a while on the north site. The most recent one is sort of in limbo right now. The company that was looking at it, I think, is pretty much determined they need more space than what we have there. But they were a going interest for probably about 4 or 5 months. But I think they're probably going to have to look elsewhere because they're not able to have the acreage that they want on the property.
Thank you.
The one thing I would mention, I walked the north and south Farm Crest today, and it is, I mean, most of North Farm Crest now has been, the street's no longer there. It is, most of the driveways are accessible. There were some where they were doing the construction today where it's not accessible. But I got your note that we're no longer a member of or no longer have use of call safe, but we should somehow stress to residents that they should not be using that, because there are some people, including myself, that has a habit of coming down Kincaid, and we just need to completely avoid that for the next month or so, because it is, I feel very sorry for the residents of there, but especially if it was dry out, gets very dusty for the residents there if there's too many cars going through there. So we should be respectful of those people as much as possible. Chief?
Thanks. I just have a couple items. We met with the Police and Fire Committee just to let them know that we're working, our body-worn cameras have came in. We're working on the process there. Obviously, it's a lot to get it up and working. Even though we have current camera systems, because of these body-worn cameras, we're working on the security aspects with Intrust now. So we have a meeting set up between Intrust and Motorola Solutions to help get us going. So I would say by late in the year, we hope to get them going. We are in discussions, and we presented this to the Police and Fire Committee on the flock cameras. That's been a hot topic. All the communities pretty much are going to flock cameras now. My hopes is the village move forward in the purchase of flock cameras. We're still doing some research on locations and things like that, as well as trying to extend the contract out as long as we can, because we only see the pricing on some of these things going up. The last thing is auto thefts. We offer the free clubs for vehicles for anybody that has the Kia and Hyundai and certain model and year. You can check that online whether yours fits that. We've had a number, I would say nearly 6 cars stolen this year already. It's happening pretty regularly. We Friday, Andrea ran one and she's following it. They had took off and it would have turned into a chase, but we immediately break off because they have no care in the world. Time of day, the school was letting out, time of day, it's not worth a liability on the village or anyone else for us to pursue something like that, because they're at their cost, they don't really care. If they crash, they crash. So I highly recommend people to check on their vehicles. And we offer those. Most of these have occurred so far recently in the South End, but if people would check their personal cameras, their Ring cameras and things like that through the night, and they see something, please call and report it. Even if it's just somebody different walking through the neighborhood, a car prowling through the neighborhood, let us know, because that's going to help us. We do have some different cameras in the area and different footage of people. Now it's just a matter of being able to identify the people that are stealing the vehicles. For some reason, Nissan's been jumping as a high stolen vehicle also. So if you had a Nissan, obviously keep a close eye to that. I will say that not all the stolen vehicles are stolen because they're Kias, because we have a habit with some people, and they leave their keys in the car still, parked at the end of the driveway on the street. We stress that we feel that we have a super safe community. I think our department does a great job there. But, no one's immune to crime. Please remove your keys from the vehicles. Do not leave them in there and be upset with us when we come, because that's kind of been a common thing. They get the car stolen because their keys are in it, and they're not happy because there wasn't enough patrol. But, just take your keys out of the car to help us a lot. That's it. Thanks.
Any questions for the chief?
Yeah. You go first. Several months ago, you talked about some house break-ins and stuff. Is that leveled out, less? And then also, you also spoke at that meeting about the alarm system. I can't remember the name of it. Is that in and working yet, or what's the
No,
status?
not yet. So for the break-ins, we haven't had any more break-ins. We had one confirmed attempted break-in in Rollins. Obviously, we knew that. Then we had another attempt, and then we had a confirmed burglary. Those are the only ones. We did get some fingerprints, shoe prints. Our detective did go with another agency's detective over to Indiana, where suspects were arrested. We're working on a lot of cellular data stuff now, as well as some geo mapping on some different stuff. Typically we're kind of off the path, so we usually don't deal with this, but it has happened before. We're part of a burglary ring that's happening in the Hamilton County right now. There's a number of agencies throughout this area that are involved in this. We now, as of last Wednesday, spoke to the FBI. The FBI is actually working this case with us. because it's a wide circle that's just, they literally hit regions of different states on a regular basis, steal everything they can, pawn it, sell it, everything else. So hopefully, we're going to get some arrests here, but as they did over in Indiana here soon. The alarm systems, we're still putting new customers in on the Ava alarm. That's our own in-house alarm. But I got to work with Tammy here over the next month or two. I want to roll out the Complete Connect to where you can actually turn your alarm off on the Ava system from your cell phone. I think because a lot of times what we're seeing is sometimes people are leaving town to go on vacation and they're not remembering to set their alarm. This way people can see if their house is alarmed or not alarmed. So it's a service that we're able to offer. It's I believe it's $3 to $5 a month is what it costs you to subscribe to it. So that would just get added to your normal Ava bill if you decide to do that. So they'll hear more about that here in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I have two things now. For people like me with the old JV system, are we going to be phased out, or are we going to be able to hang on with that?
For now, you could stay in that system. I haven't made a determination at what point. It's not going to be around forever. It's a radio wave system, which is out of date. So right now, the way the radio wave system works, it works and sends a signal over the radio waves, but there's no checks and balances with the system you have. The only way for you to know if your system is working is to trip the alarm and call the police station, or call us and say, hey, can I trip my alarm so I know it's working?
Thankfully, my parents are taking care of that for me.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. That's a positive, so you know it's working. But there has been cases where they haven't worked for periods of time.
Okay, thank you. The other thing was we had, I guess, teenagers doing ding-dong ditch and running around on Fairhaven. Did anything come out of that? Did we identify anybody?
No, it appears to be just kids driving through town, pulled their car on the side of the road and run up and start ringing doorbells and running.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, as far as the mayor's report, first, yesterday we had the one-stop drop. I want to thank all the volunteers. Many of the people in this room volunteered. It was a successful day. We felt very fortunate with the weather that the weather became, the rain went away and we were able to have a successful event. And related to that, in the village manager's monthly report this month, you noted that the village received its reimbursements from Hamilton County for our recycling efforts. We received again around $14,000. We are one of the leading communities in Hamilton County with respect to recycling, and that is due to three things. Our residents are very good at consciously recycling. Our maintenance staff is very good at collecting leaves and brush, and that qualifies now for recycling efforts. And the one-stop drop clearly helps. And everything that we collect at a one-stop drop, we get credit for that, all that tonnage. So it does, I mean, there's economic benefit to events like one-stop drop, economic benefit to our residents doing a good job recycling, and we just need to continue that. And then finally, Councilwoman Paul mentioned the prairie up at Amberley Green. We are going to have a nature walk at Amberley Green on May 25th at 5 o'clock. It's going to be led by Corey Christopher from the Cincinnati Nature Center, and it's Corey who has really put together the whole proposal with respect to the prairie. Corey loves all the trees at Amberley Green, so I'm sure as we do the walk on May 25th, it'll be a lot about the trees and so forth. He's very passionate, so For those that want to see someone very passionate about trees and plants and everything like that, it could be a lot of fun. Again, it's going to be May 25th at 5 o'clock. And that concludes my mayor's report. Any questions on that? Okay, I know a couple people had new business, and I'll start on this side. Councilwoman Wood wanted to mention something.
I just wanted to give a little update on pickleball. It has been going really well, partnering with the JCC. We've been there for about 2 months. But starting tomorrow, we move outside to the tennis courts, to the courts right next to the municipal building. And it will be 6:30 to 8 p.m. every week outside, multi-level. If the weather does not cooperate, we will go back to the Mayerson JCC. They're kind enough to say we can just drop in, but the time will still be their usual time at 7 p.m. So starting tomorrow, 6:30 to 8. If there's a weather issue, it will move to 7 o'clock. And I also just want to kind of commend the organization and everything at the One Stop Drop. It's the first time I was there volunteering. I've gone through before, but it was very well run and organized, and I'm not sure who all is completely responsible for all of that, but I thought it was nice, and we had 404 cars.
The Kathy and Pete they have run that thing now for, I think, 7 or 8 years, and enjoy it, and really do know how to run the event, and so they deserve the credit.
I had an exciting adventure today. We had a sick raccoon in my neighbor's yard, and they called me to handle it because that's the kind of stuff I get called to do. So we had a very sick raccoon. He was active during the daytime, which is one thing. He was walking around like a drunken sailor, which is another thing. And he was not afraid of humans, but I would actually just say he was not responsive to most things. So I went over and captured him with the ever-exciting garbage can over the raccoon. In order to do something about him, I called the dog warden, which strangely, this falls under their purview. And they wanted to let me know that distemper is running rampant in Hamilton County. And this is something that should be very important to anyone that has pets that go outside, because distemper can move to both dogs and cats. So if you see sick animals, you don't have to go out and trap them, but you definitely want to call the dog warden. Their contract is through Cincinnati Care down on Coleraine, the inner city dog pound. So you call Cincinnati Care, and they will try to get someone out that day to wrangle the animal for you. Since mine was already wrangled, they did take care of it for me. And like I said, I really just want people to be aware that it's really important to have your pets vaccinated, and that this is currently very active where we are. Please be careful. Oh, humans cannot get it, in case you're worried. But you could potentially, like if you contacted a sick animal and then contacted your pet. So it's very important to have your pets vaccinated and to look out for, be aware of, for sick animals that are acting like they shouldn't. Inappropriate. That's the wrong word. Anyway, please be aware.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we can consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.